unknown, a place where ghosts, cryptids, and extraterrestrials are sought. This is where you'll find answers to questions about what lurks in the dark. This is Periscope Uncensored.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Periscope Uncensored here on the LNM Radio Network. I'm your host, Clarissa Vazquez. We're having some technical difficulties here tonight, so I don't have my co-host handy, but Mr. Jax will be joining us just as soon as technology will allow. Want to send a shout out to all of our affiliates that you can listen to our show via. If you're not listening via the lnmradionetwork.com website, you can also tune in using your computer, smartphone, tablet, or a radio station. If you listen to terrestrial radio, you can catch us at High Point Radio, 1620 AM, 100.5 FM out of New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. WCET 101.7 out of Columbia, South Carolina. KOY 1230 in Phoenix, Arizona. KYAH 540 AM, Utah's Talk Authority. You can also find us on the affiliated apps, Daily Motion, TalkStream Live, Paranormal Radio, TuneIn, Twitch, iTunes, and you can catch our Periscope Uncensored archives on YouTube. Just look up Periscope Radio. Also, if you enjoy our programming and want to sponsor a show, you can do so by going to lnmradio.com and click on the donate button. Just make sure you tell them that Periscope Uncensored sent you. And we've got Jax on the line. Yay! How you doing tonight, buddy?
This laptop out the window.
You're going to throw your laptop out the window. Oh, that's not good.
So slow.
Well, you're breaking out pretty bad, so I hope the connection improves as the show goes on. You may want to try it. You may want to try it.
Here.
Oh, you may want to try it without the camera. That might give you a little more signal strength. So if you turn the camera off, that might improve the sound quality just a little bit. So we've got a great show lined up for you tonight, folks. We're going to have Gostkowski and Nicole Ferro on the line. We're going to be talking about Paranormal Kicks Cancer. So it's a very, very worthwhile cause, very worthwhile organization. And so we're excited to learn about that and share that amazing project with you, our listeners. And as I mentioned earlier, if you've missed an episode of Periscope Uncensored, you can find us on YouTube. Jax does a great job of taking our archives and uploading them to YouTube so you can catch the awesomeness that is Jax and myself and our great guests via YouTube. Just go to youtube.com and look up Periscope Radio. So, Jax, how are things on the ECCPI front?
Slow. Very slow. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. As I mentioned on the show last week or the week before, I forget, I think it was last week, we got 3 cases going on. We've got both SK Mansion investigations plus the one that we just did in Maine. So we got 3 ongoing, trying to wrap things up. Okay.
And any more interesting SLS phenomena?
Other than stuff in my own house? No.
You've been using the SLS in your house?
Yeah.
Oh, tell me about it.
Well, it's It's kind of like where I live. It's kind of like a duplex, but it's not really a duplex. It's kind of split in half.
Mm-hmm.
It's like instead of having front doors in the front of the house, it's on the side of the house. So you got where I live, and then on the opposite side of the house, completely like right around on the other side, and there's another door for the other house.
Okay.
In the back, there's an in-law apartment. The woman that used to live there was telling me that she sees shadow figures all the time. I'm like, really? I was like, you want an investigation done? Oh, no, I'm all set. I'm not worried about that. Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
So if they were there, I mean, as you know, that Wampanoag were that.
You're breaking out again real bad, buddy. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. But yeah, the area that you live in is Wampanoag Indian Territory, and is actually known for some really bloody battles, between the natives of the area and the colonial settlers and colonial soldiers, as the land was being settled by the Europeans. And, so there's a lot of geographic psychic trauma as a result of those battles, and there's also a lot of residual energy just from the Native American spiritual impact on the land itself. It's actually a really cool place to go and explore and investigate, from both a historical standpoint and a paranormal research standpoint, just because there's so much there to explore and learn about. Am I right? Yeah.
Yes.
So,
better?
A little bit. You're a little bit better. I know it's supposed to snow over there, so weather could be playing a factor. We may have to have you call in as opposed to using your Skype, which I know the call quality it's not as loud when you call in, but at least it's not broken when you call in. So when we go to break, in fact, I know tonight's guest, we're calling them, and so I don't know if we can have two callers on the line or not. We'll have Katie shoot us a message here via Skype and let us know if two callers are possible. In fact, I'm going to ask her that in chat right now. Are two callers possible at the same time? ? So she'll get back to us here in just a second. And if that's the case, then Jax will have you call in. It'll be the same number that you called in last night when you were on Hidden World.
Oh, okay.
So, and it is possible. Yay. So, Jax, if you want to go ahead and call in, you can do that. Instead of using your Skype, it won't be as loud, but it'll be a little clearer, I think. Okay. And so while you're doing that, I'll tell all of the listeners about the really cool stuff that happened on the investigation that I was part of last Friday. CCPI has been working this case for the last 10 years, and it's not a malevolent case by any stretch of the imagination. It's just merely curiosity, and the clients have actually turned into CCPI investigators. They like how we operate. They like our professionalism. They like our commitment to our clients, and so two of them have actually signed on as investigators, which is great because they can empathize with our clients, having been clients in the past. Great, outstanding, phenomenal. So 2 weeks ago, I was staying the night at their house because I had business in the town where they live. And, we're all a pretty tight-knit family. And so I called them up and said, hey, can I come crash at your house? They said, sure. And so welcome back, Jax. Thank you for calling in. And
My pleasure.
And so that about 5 o'clock that morning, I woke up and there was a full-bodied apparition standing about 7 to 10 feet away from me. And it was stomping its foot at me. And I could hear it stomp its foot. I could hear the stomp. Couldn't make out facial features. Couldn't really tell what he was wearing. I could tell it was male. That was about it. But I could hear the stomp. And so, of course, I'm telling the team, I finally saw the ghost, at Sarah and Julie's. And everybody's like, yes, we have to investigate. So we did this last weekend. And using the SLS camera, not only did we capture an anomaly in the same general area as where I saw the apparition stomping its foot, and the anomaly on the SLS was stomping its foot. But we also captured, with the SLS, a different anomaly standing in a different part of the house. And I started talking to it, like, how you doing and everything. And I said, can you wave at me? And they did. And Jax, I sent you that video footage. I sent you that clip because I was actually able to record that. And, can you wave at me? And it was almost the wave. It was almost like they took a hat off and waved their hat at me and put the hat back on. That was what the gesture resembled, in my opinion. Did you get the same thing or did you get something different?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What I observed from the wave when I asked the anomaly, can you wave at me? What it appeared to me, the gesture resembled as if they were taking off their hat and waving a hat at me and then putting the hat back on. That's what it looked like to me. Did you get the same thing or did you observe something different?
I did get the same thing. The way that the video was, it looked like it reached up to his head and then then waved. I mean, that's what I saw. I mean, it didn't just go straight up and start waving. Right.
It was like this grandiose gesture, almost like they were removing a hat, kind of like a cowboy would, and they take off their hat, and then put the hat back on. That's what it resembled to me. And of course, I live in Colorado. I live, work, and play in Colorado. And so to have a cowboy, is not an unheard of thing. To have an anomaly mimic a cowboy-like gesture is not it's not unheard of. So it almost seemed appropriate in some ways.
Yes.
So, I've been working since we got our first SLS camera last winter. And we now have 3. And I've been working really hard trying to debunk the SLS technology. I'm not 100% sold on it yet, but every now and then I'll capture something that's just a little too compelling. And, and I have to go, okay, maybe there is something to this. So are you guys working to debunk the SLS technology as well, or are you pretty much sold on it?
I don't know. It's the things that we saw so far. I think, well, me personally, I don't know what my co-founder is thinking, but me personally, I think I'm sold on it.
You're sold on it. Okay.
Just from twice now being at SK Mansion, twice catching SLS footage of 2 little stick figures that are placing their hand in each of my hands.
Right.
The SLS footage in Maine with whatever it was jumping on top of one of my female investigators and getting its rocks off.
Right.
the footage that you sent me that appears to take its hat off and start waving at me. Yeah, I think it's legit.
Well, plus your lap dance. You got that ethereal lap dance a couple of weeks ago.
True. That's true too.
And I am never going to let you live that down.
Well, it's funny too, because my investigator, she's the one that was operating the SLS camera. She's like, whatever this is sticking its butt in your face. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't know. What am I going to say? What am I going to do? There's not much I can do. You know what I mean?
That's true. And we've all seen those cartoons, of what looks, somebody sitting at their computer and there's a ghost rubbing its butt on their head or whatever. Those cartoons are all over the interwebs.
Yes. I mean, there's not much that any of us can do except just like for instance, when I got that so-called quote-unquote lap dance, yeah, I leaned back in my chair because I wanted to see if I could feel any type of pressure or anything. No, all seriousness, not trying to enjoy anything. Okay, but I'm
You're
just saying that.
me.
Well, maybe a little. No.
Yeah.
No, it's just seriousness. I just wanted to see if I could feel anything, any cold spot or pressure on my legs or anything like that, and I felt nothing.
So
So
not this time, but maybe next time. Are you planning to go back to that location?
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay.
Probably not. Well, first off, we did whatever was there by the client's request, asked us to get rid of them, send them on their merry way, and that's what we did.
Okay.
So,
That was going to be my next question, was if you had any aftercare plan, for the client, or if you referred them to an outside source for resolution, but you guys handled everything in-house.
Well, at the client's request, she was, from what she was telling us, was that she wanted it gone. She was tired of it. She thinks it's been following her for a while. We actually got 2 different stories of how it started following her. So I don't know, but we blessed the house and we put stuff down at the entrance so it can't enter. And we told her not to. If someone knocks at the door, do not say come in. Physically go to the door and open the door.
Right. Now, do you have clergy on the team?
We do not.
Okay.
We do not. But
that might be something you want to look into in the future, maybe.
Well, I'm going to do it the right way if I can at all possible, and do it the way that you did it, and actually take classes on being an ordained minister.
Yeah, it's not easy, and it's pretty expensive, actually.
Is it?
Yeah, but it's worth it, because people question you. You tell them, "Hey, I'm a minister." Oh, you went to, what is that, Universal Life, I think it is, where you go online and you enter in your name and they send you a certificate saying you're now ordained. That doesn't make you any more knowledgeable or any more certified.
Absolutely not.
To do what needs to be done. It just gives you a piece of paper with your name on it saying that, that you're ordained. And if all you want to do is perform weddings, that's great. you've got a piece of paper saying that you're licensed to perform weddings. But when it comes to the religious aspect of dealing with paranormal phenomena, especially when you're communicating with clients, when you've got a client that's coming at you going, this goes against everything I was taught in Sunday school, and this goes against the teachings of my church, having been seminary or educated and ordained, then you can come back at them and say, well, actually, the Bible says this. And, these were the teachings of Jesus. And Jesus himself even, mentioned ghosts, shortly after the resurrection. He says, do not be afraid. I'm not a ghost. And so, even Christ himself acknowledges ghosts in the current version of the Bible. And I've gone on record many, many, many times, as saying, the current version of the Bible is not the true Bible, because back, during the Nicene Council, when the Nicene Council was convened, back in the days of Constantine, certain books were omitted and certain books were written and added to fit the agenda and, to fit the personal agenda of the church. And so what people believe to be, the true, unquestionable, unequivocal written word of God is not entirely accurate. And, and that argument has gotten me into hot water on more than one occasion. But, facts is facts. And, some people don't like to hear the truth. And,
right.
But, that's the beauty of having a live radio show, because as long as we stay within FCC regulations, we can talk about whatever we want. We just can't. We just can't use the bad language, which I know you were on Hidden World for a while last night, and I apologize that you didn't get a chance to talk very much on the show. We had a semi hijacking. We had we had an uninvited guest pop onto the show and try to take the show in an entirely different direction. So I apologize that you didn't get to talk as much as we had hoped. I even told Chris, I'm like, I feel bad because, we told him to call in and he didn't get to talk very much. But I had to go through the archive so that Chris can upload it to YouTube. I had to go through the archive and censor out all the bad language last night. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. It was a 2-hour show and it took me about 3 hours to go through and censor. Usually, when I go through, I speed it up, so everybody sounds like chipmunks, but I had to listen to it in real time today because there was so much bad language. But it makes for a really, really funny archive, because at the end of the show, as you know, Chris went on this tangent. And so there's like this 2-minute segment where it's nothing but bleeps. It's like beep, and this, and talking about this beep, 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 I'm sitting at the desk going, oh my gosh, this is hysterical. And and I'm telling Chris, I'm like, it took me forever to bleep out all the language. He goes, we don't have to do that for YouTube. I'm like, I know, but it makes it funny. and we pride ourselves on having a funny show on Sunday nights. It's a supernatural, paranormal, themed show, but with a funny twist. And so by going in and bleeping out all of Chris's foul language, potty mouth, Chris, shame on you. Somebody's going to have to spank you. And I say that because I know he's listening now. He just sent me a message saying, I'm listening. And, so it makes for really funny archives. And I know Daryl and Katie are going to be running our holiday promo here pretty soon for Hidden World. And we actually play on that in our holiday promo. You've heard the holiday promo because I emailed it to you.
Correct.
We play on the fact that that we have to censor ourselves sometimes, and I'm not immune to it. You know, even I have said a bad word on the air once.
Yes, we know.
Once. I blame the tequila. And Chris and Daryl. I am completely blameless in that one.
Well, I have yet and will not cuss on the radio.
Oh.
Not
yeah,
me.
We'll see about that.
Okay.
So,
right.
So do you have big plans coming up for Thanksgiving?
No, not really. I think I'm just gonna maybe visit my parents and pretty much just stay in the area.
Very cool.
Not gonna do too much.
I was supposed to hang out with the family and the pseudo family on Thanksgiving Day, but I got a text message from my mother today saying that there are going to be 9 people at Thanksgiving dinner, and I went, nope, I'm out. You know, hanging out with my mother and her significant other and his son and daughter-in-law, you know, that's one thing. But, you know, when they start bringing all of the friends and the people that I don't know and am not very comfortable around, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm out. And so I'm probably going to stay home and stay in bed until our special L&M show on Thursday night. And I think it's going to start, I think it starts at 9 p.m. Eastern. I could be wrong. Katie will shoot me a message here via Skype and let me know for sure what time that show starts. But it's going to be myself, Laura Lee Potvin, and Seraphine Hurley, and we're affectionately calling the show Three Drunk Broads. And it's going to be the three of us. We're going to be playing drinking games and talking about all kinds of craziness. I know you and Chris have been working overtime trying to find fodder, you know, to get me with, because I know the two of you are planning on calling in just to see what kind of, you know, crazy, stupid stuff I'm going to say on the air. Because, yeah, when I've been drinking, all bets are off, as you well know, because I did say that one bad word that one time on the air, thanks to Daryl and Chris and tequila.
Chris, we're going to have to get together and write some questions down, and let's get them.
Yeah, you two are going to try to throw me under the bus. I already know it.
Oh, I'm already salivating.
Oh, you're salivating, huh? That's better than turkey dinner. But we have to take our bottom of the hour break. But when we come back, we're going to have Chris Gostkowski and Nicole Ferro on the line. We're going to be talking about Paranormal Kicks Cancer. So stay tuned. You're listening to Periscope Uncensored on the LNM Radio Network. We will be right back. Welcome back to Periscope Uncensored here on the LNM Radio Network. I'm your host, Clarissa Vazquez. Riding shotgun this evening is my faithful sidekick, the man, the myth, the legend, Jax.
How you doing, everybody?
And we've got a great guest on the line, folks. I know we've got Chris. I don't know if we have Nicole also, but I know we've got Chris Gostkowski on the line. And we're going to be talking about a fantastic and so worthwhile organization, a very worthwhile cause. And if you haven't heard of it, folks, I encourage you really pay attention to what we're talking about tonight, because it's an important topic, and it's heartwarming. Not just this time of the year, but year round, you know, to know that there are people out there that are out there working hard, you know, to make a difference. You know, they're taking our passion for the paranormal and turning it into such a noble cause that affects everybody. And, you know, if you haven't heard of Paranormal Kicks Cancer yet, you need to pay attention. You need to listen up, folks, because this is amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming Chris Gostkowski to the show. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Long time no talk, man.
Nicole, yes, long time no talk. Nicole may be joining us here shortly.
Okay.
We'll just, I'll let you know.
Outstanding.
But thank you for having me, for sure.
Well, for our listeners that are not familiar with PKC, can you explain what it is?
Basically, it's just the paranormal community coming together to grant wishes for children with cancer, and we've even went to the hospitals themselves and had pizza parties for the kids. So it's like you had said at the beginning here, it's just to make a difference. It's taking our passion, that we have for the paranormal and showing more, the community where you're at or everywhere, that we're more than just basically what goes bump in the night. We also have a passion to help people. That's kind of why we are in the paranormal. But this is taking it to the next level and helping people and showing people that they're not alone in their fight to hopefully kick cancer to the curb.
Outstanding. Now, you guys hold an annual event, is that right?
Yes, we have an event usually every September. The week changes just depending on the situation and locations that we can find. But just starting last year, we actually just went national. So now we're doing stuff. We're working with the American Childhood Cancer Organization, which is one of the largest in the nation, to join forces with them so we can go national and help all over. We did a thing in Pennsylvania. We've been to Ohio, but basically it's just easier in Florida, just because that's kind of our base, our home base, where we started.
Mm-hmm.
So like every September, we just bring speakers together. We bring vendors, find a great location, and everything that we raise, pretty much, we're at about an 80% rate that goes right back to the kids. So we work on about a 20% budget. That's our overhead.
Wow. And you've had some pretty exciting guests and attendees at some of these events, have you not?
Yes, we have. And the good thing is, we've had, you can go down the line. We've had Andrea Perron, or Perrin, however people want to say her last name, from the movie The Conjuring. Her and her dad have been to our events. Rob Demers from Ghost Hunters International, Scott Timperman. We've actually been to Tennessee because we were asked to go to the first ever Tennessee Wraith Fest from the Tennessee Wraith Chasers invited us to come to their first event. So we were kind of there as well, just raising money and awareness for, childhood cancer.
That's outstanding. Now, when you say that, 80% of the proceeds go toward childhood cancer, do they go to a specific hospital? Do they go to a specific cancer charity? Where exactly?
It's actually open to basically what we've done now that we've gone national is we try to find a family or a hospital in the area of where we're going to do the event. And then we just, whatever we raise, we do whatever they want. So like we've mainly granting wishes for kids is the biggest thing that we've branched out to do. We've donated service dogs. We've donated 2 service dogs already. A trip to a college, and then found out about a month or 2 later that she was accepted to the college. We had another one that all the kid wanted. His name was Felipe. He just wanted a fence in his backyard so he could play with his dog. I mean, it's simple wishes that these kids want to grant. And we try to grant them for them.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
So it's like Make-A-Wish on steroids.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it's just whatever they ask, we try to grant, and that's pretty much where we're at. And
That is.
then we had another one which was really cool. It just shows how fate works and how what we do, makes a difference. I mean, we had a kid. He just wanted a trip to St. Augustine. Just spend the weekend in St. Augustine with his family. Plain and simple. It's just a simple request. It's nothing major or expensive, but they just can't afford it with the treatment and everything else. So a friend of mine knew someone in St. Augustine. We got a whole weekend donated, and then we gave him $500 to spend while he was there. And then once it was all granted, we got a message from Carrie Jones from Base Camp, based out of Orlando, Florida, and she's like, "Chris, you need to read this email I'm sending you." And I'm like, "Okay, don't tell me something happened and he can't go," And so as I'm reading it, it says, "All I want to do is spend the weekend with my family at the St. George Inn in St. Augustine." And lo and behold, the weekend that we had donated, the St. George Inn donated for the weekend. And we didn't know he wanted to be at the St. George Inn at all until we read the letter after it was already donated.
Wow. That is cool. I would call that fate.
Yeah, it gives me goosebumps every time I think about it. Just how, that's where he wanted to go, and he specifically named it, and that's who donated it. And it was cool because the owners of the St. George Inn spent time with him and took pictures and stuff with him. So it's just neat, to just help these kids.
Do you know how many children you've been able to help so far?
As far as granting wishes, now PKC started in 2010, and we didn't start granting wishes until about 2013. And we've now granted, 2 service dogs. We're at probably about seven, I believe, 7 wishes that we've granted so far. Besides, we have had a couple of parties at the hospital and had pizza parties for the kids that they allowed us to go in and do. And then they have movie night too, where you can go and they can watch a movie and just know that they're not there alone, that someone's there to be with them. Because sometimes the family can't be with them because of the expenses.
Right.
So it just makes a big difference. Just to see the smile on their face is enough for me.
So are the families pretty receptive then that it's a group of ghost hunters or paranormal investigators that are coming in and doing this with the children?
I've had instances where they think that we're nuts because we're talking about the paranormal and we're trying to help people. And my biggest thing is just the stigmatism that paranormal has. It's been lifted a lot because years ago you were shunned if you were talking about the paranormal.
Right.
But we do hit brick walls every now and then, and they're like, "Paranormal? What? We're not." But then the whole thing is that you got to get their mind involved in the cause and what it's about. So we've actually kind of tried to adjust the name a little and change things since that we went national. We went from, we still own Paranormal Kicks Cancer, and that's still our main event. But as far as what we're doing, we changed the name to Paranormal with a Purpose.
Oh, okay.
We LLC'd it the whole 9 yards because what our main goal is we want to help more than just cancer patients. We want to help battered women. We want to help wounded vets. We want to help autism. There's a whole world out there, a whole big wide spectrum of people that need help. So instead of trying to key just on one, that in the paranormal community, there's a lot of teams out there, and it's kind of a family, and You help each other, you learn from each other, and if someone needs help, I'd like to be able to help whoever we can help in the process.
Right.
Instead of just keying. So our main objective every September and throughout the year is still kids with cancer. But we could still branch off with the 501c3 and the LLCs that we have and still be able to set up an event if last minute they need they have a child with autism and they need something. Then we could still do an event legally and not go off the beaten path where we can't help somebody else, somebody that doesn't have cancer. So that's kind of where we've broadened it to. And because we're national, so now it's getting hard with all the HIPAA laws to try to find one specific person to help because no one will give you any information. So it's basically word of mouth and who knows who that can get back to us to say, hey, so-and-so needs help. How can we help them? Hey, Paranormal Kicks Cancer is there to help. Let's contact them and see where we can go and what avenue we can go with. And then we have, Nicole, she's always on Facebook, on the Facebook page. That's Paranormal Kicks Cancer LLC on Facebook. That's the best way to find us, and you contact that, and Nicole will answer without a problem. She's on there all the time. She runs the page. She pushes everything.
She's the driving force then behind the social media aspect.
She's the main social media aspect of it, yes. I'm not that good on it and whatever else. And she's just real awesome on that. And without that, we probably wouldn't be where we're at. So.
Yeah, I know when I first met you, it was about 4 years ago at Ghost Stock. And and you were wearing a PKC hat. And I wasn't familiar with it at all. I'd never heard of it. And so I flagged you over to my vendor table. I'm like, what's with the hat? And you explained it to me, and I've been very impressed with it since. I've been following it in the years since, and and helping out when and where I can. I know I was supposed to be at one of the events a couple of years ago, and I just wasn't able to make it happen. Life got in the way, and but that's not to say that I don't hope to be at future events. But for those of you that don't know, what was the brainchild? What sparked this? Why did you create PKC, that is now morphed into Paranormal with a Purpose?
Well, PKC itself, it was an idea. It started, like I said, in 2010. I wasn't even a part of it in 2010 when PKC got started. About 2 years into it, I was asked to help run an event, and then I tried to tell the people running it that it needs to be streamlined. And because people were wondering where the money was going, how do we know you're helping people? And that's kind of where they were hitting brick walls, is no one wanted to donate because they didn't know where it was going. And then there was rumors that someone was paying their electric bill with the money and the money wasn't going for the cause. But it originally started because some paranormal teams had back-to-back people that were stricken with cancer. And the idea just popped up in the paranormal community around where we're at, that, hey, what can we do to help these families? They're our friends. They're paranormal investigators. What can we do? And then PKC started. The first one was in 2010, and money was raised. The money went to, there wasn't a lot of money that was made, and it's still not as much as I believe that we can make. Mm-hmm. It's a slow process, but the hardest part is hitting them brick walls with people trusting that when you hear the word paranormal, that what are they going to do with the money? These are some crazy people trying to do something instead of realize that it's for good. But it was started back in 2010. It was like 2 or 3 teams got together, and then they just started the event. And now from here forward, it's PKC's not just me, not just Nicole. We want the whole paranormal community to get involved. There just needs to be somebody driving it forward someone that's got to have their name on the paperwork and whatnot to have it moving forward. And that's all it is. I mean, without everyone's help and other teams involved, any of the celebrities, Nicole goes online all the time, and she gets Paris celebs, helps us getting vendors, the whole 9 yards. We just did an event in Brooksville at the May Stringer House, and we had over 1,000 people show up. So it's huge. It's getting bigger. We're how we want it to be, and just move it forward. But it's not just a couple of people running it. Just because my name's on the LLC, I want the whole paranormal community to back it, be involved, and move forward with it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, when you hear the words charitable organization, there is a certain amount of transparency that is expected. And I think that's what you're trying to do, moving forward with it. And again, with HIPAA laws and things like that, there are obviously some roadblocks. You can't just go to a hospital and go, okay, who has an issue and needs help. And
Right. And that's the biggest thing. So especially on the Facebook, social media is the best and easiest way to get a hold of people that need help. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we push everyone to the Facebook page. I mean, we do have paranormalkickscancer.org, but the site's been down. I haven't really put any effort into the site. It's got old stuff on it, only because most people, if you ask anyone, they got a Facebook page, and it's cheaper going Facebook wise. It's free.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
As far as running websites and everything else, the yearly fees, the more Nicole can call and get a wish granted for somebody, it's much easier to call and like the kid, the little boy that wanted a fence, instead of just saying, here's the money. We can still raise the money, but we ended up getting it donated, and then we still gave him money to spend on himself. So the efforts in calling and getting things donated, there's a lot of work involved in getting these wishes granted. You still need the money to do certain things, but if you can get the things donated, someone needs a roof or someone needs this, you call around, you find someone to donate it, and then you still give them money to help with one of their medical bills or something else. You give them that little step up that they didn't have.
Right. It's a hand up, not a hand out.
Exactly. And then we also we went to the Selma Mansion, thanks to Bill Reap. He let us do an event there, or join him at his event. And we helped a little girl named Veronica. It was a 2-year-old child that mom called, reached out, and another funding hope from the American Child Cancer Organization connected us with her. And I mean, it's a 2-year-old child that's got cancer, and her bones are so brittle that when mom was changing her diaper, she was breaking her bones.
Oh no.
Oh.
That's how bad it is. And all they wanted was mom said that she wanted to take it's mom, Veronica, which is the little 2-year-old, but Veronica's got a twin brother who's not affected. So just imagine that family. You have a little boy who's confused because little sister, even though they're 2 years old, they know, they understand, they can see things, that's always going to the hospital. He's not. So can you imagine mom in the middle of trying to help her son understand why twin sister is always in the hospital with tubes and he's not, trying to keep them together. It's a single mom with twins living with grandma and grandpa. So she wanted to bring them all to Sesame Place, and we contacted Sesame Place. It's like a little amusement park. It's like Sesame Street characters, the whole thing, if people don't know what Sesame Place is. And we contacted them. they went ahead and they're going to help with the tickets, and we're sending them money to spend and have a field day there. So they have money besides, and then we also help with their electric bill. So, as much as we can help, we will. We try not to put a limit on a wish. We try to keep it a baseline about $500 per wish, but depending on the help that we can get by phone calls and just the gratitude and people that are happy to help on top of giving them cash, that's more we can do for each wish that we do grant.
Right. So if people are looking to participate in an event or even donate to the organization, then the best way to reach them is through Facebook, or is there an email
Facebook,
address?
Yes. No, just go to Facebook, ParanormalKicksCancer.llc on Facebook, and then they can just talk to me. Most likely they'll talk to Nicole and explain what they want to do. One of the biggest things that I try to ask is if anyone knows anyone with locations. The locations are hard to find, but they've all we do is reach out, and most of the locations usually, they're very happy to assist and help. Most of the time we can find the location and they'll donate it, and then that helps out because then we're not spending, if it's a small event, we make $1,500, and if we're spending $700 on the location, then that's that much less we can help grant a wish or help a child.
Right.
So if we can find locations that can be donated, that are willing to give the weekend, even if it's just a Friday or a Saturday, that would be a big help. We're just getting ready to start the 2019 calendar, and I believe we have somewhere in New York that a hotel in New York that's going to donate for 4 days straight. We have trying to think what else. I'm working on the PKC location for September in Florida. I have 2 locations I'm trying to work on now, and both of them no one's been able to be in years, and one of them has never been allowed to have an event there that I'm working on. I can't let the cat out of the bag and say where yet until I figure it out, but I'm working with them now, and I'm just trying to find new locations to have these events. And then a lot of times it's just the paranormal teams around there that want to speak, or even if they want to do a small little how to make a tool or something like that, we can fit them in too. It just depends, on where it's at and who's willing to show up. And it's a small fee. I mean, we charge, it's $35 a person for the whole weekend. You get to be a part of the vendors, everything else. And then just depending on the location, what we've been trying to do is we've been trying to find the locations that need help, like if they need a roof or they need this, because they're the historical landmarks, that they're real expensive because you have to keep up with it, how they were then. If they're a historical landmark, they have to be restored to their time. So a lot of times we, like with the Brooksville event we just did, we just said, look, if you're willing to work with us, we'll work with you, and we giving proceeds of what we get to help the kids with cancer, along with keeping that location going and helping them with a new roof or helping them with windows. So that's another positive to this. So everyone wins.
Awesome. Well, Chris, we have to take our top of the hour break, but when we come back, we're going to be talking some more about PKC and the great work that you guys are doing. So stay tuned, folks. You're listening to Periscope Uncensored on the LNM Radio Network. We will be right back. Welcome back to Periscope Uncensored here on the LNM Radio Network. I'm your host, Clarissa Vazquez. Riding shotgun, of course, is my faithful sidekick, the man simply known as Jax.
How you doing, everybody?
And Jax, we've been talking to Chris Gostkowski. We've been talking about Paranormal Kicks Cancer and Paranormal with a Purpose, and learning about all of the amazing ways that they've been able to, help kids and their families. And we're learning not just, children affected with cancer, but people with autism or other disabilities that can create a major, major impact on someone's quality of life.
Yes. It's an amazing organization to be expanding on different aspects of different handicaps or what have you, so it's amazing what they're doing.
Yeah. And, we definitely want to welcome Chris back to the show. And thank you, Chris, so much for coming on the show tonight and, sharing with us, because like we mentioned earlier, I first started learning about PKC about 4 years ago, but, I personally didn't realize what a major impact that this organization has, as a whole. I didn't realize that, that it was, you guys were out there, granting wishes, if you will, or, helping, children and their families. I thought it was, essentially a charitable organization. You guys went out and raised money and then donated it to, like cancer research or to Children's Hospital cancer wings and stuff like that. I didn't realize just how entailed this organization really is.
Well, that's how it originally started. Where when I helped, when PKC started, like I said before, 2010, and I helped run it in about 2012 to 2013, and then that's when I pretty much LLC'd PKC so we could streamline it. We had to find a backing to get a 501c3, so that's when we started working with Basecamp Children's Cancer Foundation. But the issue we came across is that we were based out of Orlando, Florida, and if I had somebody that needed help in, say, Pennsylvania, like we helped Veronica in Pennsylvania, that we could go do the event in Pennsylvania, but the people in Pennsylvania are like, well, I'm not going to give you all this money in Pennsylvania if you're going to bring it back to Orlando to help someone there, because they want to help in the community where they're at. And
Right.
That's where we were hitting brick walls. But it originally started when we got the 501c3 with Basecamp, that we would just donate the money that we raised would go to Basecamp, and then Basecamp would give to whoever they wanted. And then I had a dad contact me through Basecamp that was working with Basecamp. Her name was Chloe. Her dad's name was Mark, and actually we became almost family. Chloe unfortunately passed away 2 years ago. She was a 10-year-old. She had 9 brain surgeries because of cancer. And she was just the biggest. I mean, you could not make that girl frown for nothing, whether she was sick in bed, no matter where she was at. She always had a smile, and these kids, not just Chloe, but all of them are my heroes. Because when you see them and you see them walking and playing, knowing the pain they're in, and for me to turn around and be like, oh, I stubbed my toe, or, oh, how am I going to pay this bill? How dare I do that when I see what these kids have to deal with on a daily basis?
Right.
And worry about the little things that we worry about. We take things for granted until you turn around and see a child like this that their family can't be with them while they're in the hospital because they can't afford it, or something to that effect. So it started just sending the money to Basecamp, and then actually last year, June of last year, I never had cancer affect me personally in my family, in my close circle. It was basically just because I like to help, and I have a passion for the paranormal. I've been doing it almost 19 years now. But you have that passion to help these families, to try to get them closure, to make them feel more empowered in their home.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just human nature to want to help. And then so it started with Base Camp, who gave us that 501c3 status, so we had someone to place to go to, and people to realize and understand that we were legit. We weren't just keeping the money, putting it in our pockets, and buying brand new cars with it. If you saw my car, you'd understand where I'm coming from there. It barely starts. But anyway, so with that said, I never had it hit me as far as in my family circle. Then last year, my dad actually passed away of cancer. We found out he had it 3 months later. He was gone. That's how fast. He was 76 years old. He did nothing but he served his country. He was a retired Marine, and he was a retired deputy sheriff from Pinellas County Sheriff's Department for 25 years. All he did was serve his country, and help people. When that hit me real hard, not just because it was my dad, but to have it be cancer. So now I have both sides of the spectrum, just helping because I want to help. And then when that happened, it just heightened that fire that I had to do more. And that's pretty much where I sat down with Nicole, and we basically said, I want to do more. I need to do more because we need to put a stop to this. There's not one person listening that cancer is probably not touched in their life.
Correct.
It was just the kids, and then to turn around, then my dad passed away from it, and then all he did was for good. So I said we had to do more. That's when we hooked up with American Child Cancer Organization. That's when we went national. But because of that little girl, Chloe, in 2015 is when we started granting the wishes. And that was the best PKC we've had to this day. It was 2015. It was just funny because Chloe's dad was like, Chloe likes to watch paranormal shows. She loves Ghost Hunters International. And lo and behold, I asked Chloe, who's her favorite paranormal investigator ever from the shows? Rob Demarest. And Rob Demarest just happened to be speaking at the event. Rob Demarest took about 2 hours or more and spent just with Chloe. Had breakfast with her. She was drawing on his photos that he was signing for people. Her dad said that he's never seen her so happy in her life. To just have that time, not only to be there, she needed a service dog, so we granted her that wish. She got her service dog. Then she got Rob Demarest, who didn't have to do it, but out of the goodness of his heart, spent that time just with her. Didn't ask for nothing extra,
amazing.
Didn't ask for anything. He was just willing to do it out of the goodness of his heart and help.
Wow.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, and we hit brick walls. I mean, I understand that some of the celebrities out there, and I'm not knocking anyone, that's their living. That's where they make their money. But with PKC and the events we do, we can't afford to pay $2,500, $1,500 to have someone come and show up, because that's money we're not giving to these kids. So what we try to push with these is we try to get sponsors. So anyone that wants to sponsor to help maybe pay for the hotel room to get somebody there or whatnot, if they can get sponsors and we can try to help them get sponsors to get paid, PKC will not pay for anyone to come. They got to have a passion for it. They got to have a love to help these kids. Because I just don't think it's fair that we're spending the money that people are donating.
Right.
to not go to where it's going to. And so far it's been good. Most of the people, you know, if they can't show up, they like I'm just trying to think. Christopher St. Booth, they donate something just about every year. They donate something. They've been a supporter from day one. You know, they can't come and they understand that we can't pay, but at least they will send something. And that's another thing. Anyone listening, you know, we accept anything as far as donations go for raffle prizes. If they want to, you know, if they own a location and they're willing to donate an investigation for a team, we can raffle that off. Even though I'm based in Florida, we can still put it online and raffle it off to any team that wants to pay to go there. You know, they don't have to live in that state. We can put it online, you know, and find a way. But whatever money raised goes right to these kids. Any kind of donations that we can get, you know, any kind of raffle prizes, investigations. We even have sponsorships that businesses can purchase, and then they, you know, includes a vendor table, you know, depending on the package that they get. You have a vendor, you know, our September event, you have a vendor table. It includes two people every year that can go without paying for the event because they've already sponsored. But then if it's the higher tier, then on our shirts now, we're going to start putting their pretty much their business logos and whatnot. And all that money is just going to go right back into these kids. That's kind of the next step that we're doing is, you know, starting the sponsorship thing through businesses and whatnot. That's our next level.
I definitely want my team involved with this, I think.
Well,
Yeah,
we would love to. I mean, even if your team just has a place that they always, you know, investigate at, they love the place. It's a decent sized place. We want to get other states involved, and I'm going to try to set up, you know, I'm getting ready to do the footwork now as far as getting all the paperwork in order and find different states. PKC originally, I think it was the second year they had PKC in 3 different states, Texas, Florida, somewhere else. I can't remember. I don't remember that part of it, only because it hit a brick wall again because every state wanted to donate to wherever and no one knew where the money was going. So when it got streamlined, now whatever money's raised goes into the specific account, and then that account will then push towards whatever family in each state that needs the help. They tried to originally do it, which I'm not knocking it at all, but the problem is someone was doing this here, that here, this here, and no one could follow what was going on. So now once I get it streamlined, I'm going to have, you know, whatever state it is, hey, if you want to do an event, go ahead, see how many people you can do, you know, 25 people, go do an investigation. You know, if the location will donate it for free, that's awesome. Whoever running it, if they, you know, have no problem running it, then they can, whatever they sell the tickets for, you know, make sure all the costs are covered, and then whatever money they raise, they can send to Paranormal with a Purpose, and then meanwhile, that team can just ask around if they know somebody or family member or friend that needs help. Then I just need to know who we're helping, and then Paranormal with a Purpose will send them the check or send them tickets, or we will do the footwork to say, hey, if they want to go to an amusement park, we'll contact the amusement park, see if we can get it for free, and give them money to enjoy while they're there for food and whatnot, transportation, whatever we can do in that specific thing. And we're trying to do it year round, not just in September, but September's Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And that's why September was the main reason that we were doing it. And it's sad, since we went national with the American Childhood Cancer Organization, they have this one video that they go around and they ask like 100 people what the gold ribbon stands for. And not one person knew what the gold ribbon stood for. And the gold ribbon is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, or Childhood Cancer Awareness, I should say. And it was just sad to watch the video and them not know. they know what pink is. Because
Right.
some of these other larger organizations, I can't say the names, but if you do the research, about 18 cents of your dollar goes to cancer. The rest goes to their pocket.
Right.
That's why they have CEOs making $1 million bonuses. That $1 million can help how many kids?
Right.
I don't see how they can be happy with themselves. I mean, granted, they're a bigger organization. They're making more money. They're still doing good. But if you turn that around to where we're at and give 80%, because you don't need that big of an overhead, if only 18 cents of my dollar is going to help that cause, it doesn't make me feel good that I'm donating when I know only 18% is going.
Right.
And that's why I
Wow.
like Base Camp and Childhood Cancer organization that we're doing now, and everything that we run is pretty much 80% goes to 80% goes directly to the kids. I try to keep it. I mean, sometimes it'll fall a little below, just depending. But when you make them phone calls and get the stuff donated, that drops the cost down a lot more than just doing it and not making them few phone calls and spending the time to save money. And a lot of people will have them hands out and be glad to donate whatever and help out. And it just takes a phone call. And that's what some of these organizations they don't do. They just want to spend the money and help where they can. But you can literally look at it online and you can research it, and you can see that some of these organizations that you think are good, they are there for a cause, but the percentage is so low that it's just frightening.
Now, is there a place where people can go to see the transparency of PKC and Paranormal with a Purpose?
I'm working on that now because, to be honest with you, I'm hoping within the next year to year and a half, we're purchasing our own 501c3. We're going to be our own entity. We're not going to have to answer to anyone. So therefore we can, for instance, and the only reason why I want to do this is because we're working with the ACCO. The only issue is with all the footwork, the paperwork, the back and forth emails, before we can help that specific child, it takes almost 3 to 4 months. And I'm not liking that one bit. When these kids, they don't have that kind of time. So if we can knock out the middleman and be the direct contact, then I can simply go, okay, this is what you need. I'll be able to, or Paranormal with a Purpose, to be able to write that check and send it. Instead of us having to get the information, send it to the ACCO, then the ACCO then says, well, now we need this, this, and this. Then we got to go back, get the information from the mom, and get the doctor's notes from the mom. I understand there's a process, but if you can take out that middleman and go direct, then you're going to save a lot of time. A lot of time that these kids don't have to wait. But at this moment, I don't have anything there because I didn't know. Honestly, when I helped out in 2013, I didn't know I was going to have such a passion for this. Chloe basically set the groundwork for me, and then with my dad a couple of years later, that fire is burning a lot harder, you know what I mean, and a lot higher, and it's not going to stop. So when we do our own 501c3, I have all the back, everything, the paperwork, the bank account, the whole 9 yards. And I want to get it out there so everybody can see exactly the money that's came in and whatnot. I mean, I could tell you, like, this past year, when we went and did the thing at the Selma Mansion, it was about I don't know, $1,500 we raised totally from there. But as far as having it
I want to put it out there transparent for everybody, but at the moment I don't have it. That's just
Right.
the easiest way to answer it for you. But if they call and ask or they want any specifics, I can give them whatever they need. But now with us being with ACCO, whatever money we bring in, we give ACCO, then the ACCO gives it to them. And that's how we have to work it until we get our own 501c3. And to be honest, it's not that cheap. It's going to be about $5,000 out of my pocket to do it, but
Right.
it's going to be well worth it in the long run to be able to help these kids sooner.
Absolutely. Right. Well, we have to take our bottom of the hour break, our final break of the evening. But when we come back, we'll have our closing comments with Chris, and we'll let you guys know one more time how you can find out more about PKC and Paranormal with a Purpose. So stay tuned, folks. You're listening to Periscope Uncensored on the L&M Radio Network. We will be right back. Maybe if our producer didn't fall asleep. Katie, it's time for commercial. Okay, well, maybe we're not going to go to commercial, so we'll just blow through this bottom of the hour break, and we'll just keep going then, because I'm not sure what happened, but we'll just keep going. So that works for
We'll
us.
keep going. Just keep on trucking.
Yeah, I'm sure it works for you. So, Chris, we've got about 15 minutes left with you, and again, this is such a worthwhile cause, and not many people know about it, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show, is so our listeners could learn about PKC and Paranormal with a Purpose. And I'm gonna get the word out to some of the other shows here on the network, see if we can get you even more attention to this great and very
every little bit helps. And that's the biggest thing. It's just getting the word out is a big help. Any of these shows, if you can't help cash wise, or even have, even for some of your guests and whatnot that you have, if it's something that you want to back and you definitely want to back PKC, you can see if they can even sign a shirt and send it to us, something like that, as you get other guests and whatnot. We get a lot that have books that they'll sign books and send them, and then we raffle them off.
Yep, I've done that.
It's just, yeah, exactly. Yes, you have. But so even just connecting with shows like your show and other shows that we've been on, we've gotten some good connections there. Just like you were saying, if you want your team to get involved, I have no problem. We can work something out. Depending on the schedule, we might even be able to fly out there and do the event with you. It just depends, because we're getting, like I said, we're starting. It's turned around where people are now calling us to come to them. Mm-hmm. And the first couple of years, it was such a struggle to make all them phone calls and try to find somewhere to do things. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of making full circle now. And like I said, my goal is to try to get as many states involved as possible. And I actually want to try to do a telethon, like the whole month of September, and have different locations where we can have radio shows, be live and do some live stuff with Facebook Live and whatnot.
Whoa.
And then we could be at different locations and whatnot throughout the whole month.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be the optimal goal,
because then we could turn around and help 8 kids in 1 month, and that's why, like I said, we've only been doing the events every September. So when you take every September from 2013 to current, and we've already helped 7 or 8, I think Veronica's number 8. We've granted 8 wishes That's almost 2 wishes a year, which it's a decent amount of money when you think about it. But I'd like to do a lot more, and that's why we want to branch out and do it more than just September. We want to start doing things throughout the year, and it's easier to do when I have other teams out there to help. Actually, I've already been. I don't know. You guys know Old Pittsburgh South Hospital? How it was just they got a new owner. They're fixing and getting ready to open again.
Right.
They've already asked me, Ron has asked me, he's like, I would love you to have 2 or 3 events here a year. He said, anything we can do to help these kids, he supports it. So once he already donated an investigation for that event in Brooksville. And I think the winning bid was like $350. So they paid $350 to do an investigation up in Tennessee, and they paid for it in Florida. You know what I'm saying? So we got our eyes and ears out there, and we've got backing through other states. But it's just hard when you're in Florida to go to other states. And the only issue with Florida is there is so many paranormal teams here. It is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot that have no clue what they're doing. Then there's the seasoned teams. But every place is just so oversaturated with investigating that we kind of had to branch out to other states as well. So we can get all these locations, out there, and get more people involved. And that's the biggest thing. The more people you get involved, the more money's being made to give to these kids and grant as many wishes as we can, or help a hospital if we need to help a hospital. And then branching out, now we can do other events. If a child's got autism, we can do, Autism Month. We can set up an event for that specific child and that specific cause. And that's where we're at. It's not about us, it's about them. And the more help we have, the better.
Yeah, and as we've been talking, I've been putting some feelers out, to some people, going, we need to get this organization some more exposure, because I think, not only is knowledge power, but knowledge is also going to increase the odds of success. And, and again, as we've been talking, I've been, sending feelers out there going, you need to talk to this guy. You need to talk to this guy, because I think more people, more investigators, more locations, need to know that PKC and Paranormal with a Purpose exists.
Exactly. And with the locations, it's really cool because a lot of teams have no problem. If we put it, I'm just trying to think. We just had have you ever heard of the House of Wills in Ohio?
No, I haven't.
Okay, no. Yeah, it's a 50-room funeral parlor. It used to be a speakeasy. They used to do some they used to have some demonic cults in there as well, besides the speakeasy. We flew up if you're familiar with what's that thing? Ghost Brothers. Their last season, Ghost Brothers, the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Their season finale last season was actually at the House of Wills. And when we flew up to go there, they just left the day before we got there.
Wow.
So we just missed them. So we investigated the place the day after they left for that season finale. But when we got there, we had there was 4 of us to investigate that whole place by ourselves for the whole night, which was awesome. But the owner, it just happened as we were talking, I had Paranormal Kicks Cancer shirt on because I push it everywhere I can.
Right.
And we got to talking, and both his parents passed away of cancer. And he's like, I'll help you however you can. So I just asked him, hey, do you mind donating an investigation? He did. We put the investigation online, or we put the investigation up as a silent auction, and we sold it for, I forgot how much it sold for, but
We sold it at PKC this past year, and now they have a year to go to that location and investigate, and it's already paid for.
Wow.
So that's kind of what we can do with these new locations. Plus, it helps the location get out there for new people.
Mm-hmm.
It gets new people involved in their location, and that's the biggest thing, to get them out there too. So it really helps all around.
That is incredible. That is so amazing. And we've only got a couple of minutes left with you, Chris. And I'm sorry we didn't get to talk to Nicole tonight.
Well, hang on one second.
Hi, I just got back.
Hey, Nicole, how's it going?
It's going. How's it going by you?
We're doing great. We've been enjoying talking to Chris and learning more about PKC and about Paranormal with a Purpose, and learning about how you are the you're the power behind the scenes on the social media front.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So, but we want to thank you for your hard work and effort towards making PKC the success that it's been so far. We see big things on the horizon for PKC and Paranormal with a Purpose as a whole. And, we've been talking about, some ways to, get you guys some more exposure and everything. I know my wheels have been turning, and I know, Jax, I think your wheels have been turning too, have they not?
They have been, especially where my own grandmother has passed away from cancer. So it's a touchy subject for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to give back. I want to help out.
Affected everybody. So
Yeah.
we're glad to do what we do.
Yeah, well, and we're very glad that there are people like you and Chris out there, that are taking the steps to show that, there's more to paranormal investigators than just chasing ghosts and cryptids and ETs.
For sure. Yeah, everybody deserves to be happy, and if we can give them at least a moment of that, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Nicole, just one more time for our listeners, what's the best way to contact you guys? What's the Facebook address?
The best way to contact us would be Paranormal Kicks Cancer .llc on Facebook, or you can contact either one of our personal Facebooks. Mine's Nicole Ferro, and Chris's his name as well. Just let us know what you need, and we'll do our best to help you out.
Outstanding. And like I was explaining to Chris, during the course of this show, I've been reaching out to other people saying, we need to get these guys some more exposure. We need to, really do everything that we as investigators can to help make this organization a success, which it's a very worthwhile organization. I believe in it genuinely. And I know Jax, who had never heard of it until tonight, Jax is becoming a believer in it, and he even wants his team on board with it. So I think we're headed in the right direction.
Absolutely.
I think so too. Definitely anybody interested, come, let's talk. Let's see what we can do.
As they say, come one, come all.
That's right. Yeah,
Fantastic.
Come one, come all, and join, hop on this bandwagon.
Yeah, and Jack, anything you could think of, if you want, we could just talk separate. We can try to help you get started with something, or just brainstorm and see what we can do together.
Great, fantastic. Yeah, I'll contact you.
You might contact Nicole, but
I'll pass it along.
But we want to thank you guys so much for being guests on the show tonight. And, as you guys have events coming up, and everything, let me know, and we'll get you back on the show to talk about the events. We'll get you guys some more exposure, because again, knowledge is power, and knowledge is participation, and knowledge is success. And we definitely want PKC and Paranormal with a Purpose to be successful and to thrive.
Well, we definitely thank you for having us. As soon as we get the calendar, we're going to start a calendar here shortly, and as soon as I can get anything on the calendar, I'll just send it over so you guys have it, and then anything else we'll add to it, you guys will be a part of it.
Outstanding. Well, thank you again, guys, for being on the show, and it's been wonderful. The time has just really flown by, but we wish you guys the best of luck.
Well, thank you very much, and if there's anything we can do to help you, let us know.
For sure. We'll be in touch soon.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Have a great night.
Good night.
Night.
Wow.
I know, right? Chris Gostkowski and Nicole Ferro, ladies and gentlemen. Again, you can learn more about Paranormal Kicks Cancer and Paranormal with a Purpose by going to paranormalkickscancer.llc on Facebook. So I encourage everybody, go get involved. This is such a worthwhile organization and such a great cause. And again, 80% of the proceeds go toward either helping a child, by granting a wish, or helping a family spend time with their loved one in the hospital, or even to research. There are so many ways that this organization helps those in need, and it's a phenomenal cause, and I encourage everyone to get involved. And Jax, I can hear the hamster running in the wheel in your head. You're trying to think of ways to get ECCPI involved. I'm trying to think of ways to get CCPI involved. I've already been reaching out to radio contacts. And I think I'm going to get a hold of our good buddy Rick McCallum and see if he can't send over a Hollywood Ghost Hunters T-shirt. Send over get him and Kane and the other guy. I know. I so cannot focus tonight. But all right. Get the three of them to sign a Hollywood Ghost Hunters T-shirt and send that over. I'll bet that would be a hot auction ticket.
Yes.
Don't you think? Yeah. I'm going to have to call up Rick and say, "Oh, Rick." And he might do it if I ask him really nice.
I think you will. It's for a good cause. I think you will.
Yeah. So let's see.
I
Who
mean,
do we have? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. My brain is just like, I don't know. This is just an amazing show. It's like I'm dumbfounded. I didn't realize how much that they were involved like this. It's just an amazing organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it blows the mind that this is such an amazing organization, but not many people know about it. And they've been around for 8 years now. And, still people don't know about it. And so we need to change that. This is going to become my new crusade. And I'm going to make sure, that people know about PKC and know about the great work that they do and how they are helping to, even if it's in such a small way, to help better the life of a child with cancer or some other disability, help the child, help their family, even like he was saying, to send what was it, Sesame Land or Sesameville or something like that, that little theme park based on Sesame Street,
Yes.
where the little girl and her twin brother and the mom, are going for a day, just to bring, one day of smiles to someone who has had more than a lifetime of tears already.
Right.
I mean, that is
I mean,
is A+ in my book.
yes, and when Chris brought up the fact that, you know, he sees these kids playing and smiles on their face when they're in so much pain, and then stubbing their toe, and, you know, and like, we can't complain, you know. I mean, that, you know, kids are so amazing to begin with, and their spirits are so high when they're in that much pain. It's flabbergasting. It really is. And that actually, that touched me. That touched my heart.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely, you know, I've sent books, signed books to Chris, you know, to auction off at events, and I'm definitely going to keep doing that if I can't be there in person at some of these future events. And you know, but I there, we can always do more. And you know, childhood cancer is something, it should be eradicated completely. But you know, until it is, you know, we need organizations like PKC that are out there, you know, to help the kids and to help their families. And I tip my hat to them. I tip my hat to them.
I do too.
Totally. So next week, folks, you definitely want to tune into Periscope Uncensored next Monday. Break out your headlamps and your beef jerky, because on the 26th, we're going to be joined by Daniel Benoit, and we're going to be talking about Bigfoot.
Cool.
Yes, Sasquatch is coming to Periscope Uncensored. We're going to be talking about Bigfoot and a lot of his personal research. Let's see. He is part of, I just had the page pulled up and I closed it out. Dan Benoit is part of, I can open the page here. Let's see. Of course, it's not going to, ECBR. And of course, it's too small for me to, let's see if I can get it to open up on its own. There we go. Now it's going to open up. See if I can find out what ECBR stands for. Oh, it's ECBRO, East Coast Bigfoot Researchers Organization. So Monday night, Monday, November 26th, 9/8 Central here in Studio B on lnmradionetwork.com. And of course, you want to tune in to Hidden World on Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern in Studio B. Chris and I are going to be joined by John Gomes, paranormal photographer extraordinaire. And Jax, you're probably familiar with some of John's work because some of John's work is in the book that Chris and I put out last August.
Yes. Yep.
So anybody that has read Debunking Common Paranormal Myths, Exploring Psychosomatic Pareidolia is going to be familiar with John's work, because there are several photographs that John has contributed, and John is contributing even more images to the book that Chris and I are currently working on.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
So definitely tune in to Hidden World on Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, Studio B here on lnmradionetwork.com. And of course, turn into Periscope Uncensored every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern in Studio B. And that's B for best, because we are the best here on lnmradionetwork.com. Let's see, we've got Dan Benoit coming up next Monday, and then the following Monday we're going to have Ben Robison and his beard, and we're going to be talking about the CERM hypothesis, which is spectral emotion to radio frequency manifestation. And Jax,
Ooh.
I'll send you the link on that so you can
Okay.
study up. There's an awful lot of big words in there.
Okay. Cool.
And yeah, so that's coming up on December 3rd. We're going to be talking to Ben Robinson and his beard. And I give Ben a lot of grief, and tell Ben, that his beard is an entity in and of itself. And so, but we've reached the end of our show this evening, folks. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. And again, we want to thank Chris and Nicole for joining us this evening, talking about Paranormal Kicks Cancer and Paranormal with a Purpose. Again, you can find out more about them by going to Facebook and looking up Paranormal Kicks Cancer .llc. So for Jax, Chris, Daryl, Katie, the L&M family, and myself, have a great night, everyone, and may all of your ghosts be friendly.
Stay spooky, everybody.